It happened on a Wednesday morning. Quiet, ordinary, nothing unusual. Then my phone vibrated. One message, one sentence. 16 words that felt like someone reaching into my chest and snapping something inside me. We've decided you should step away for now. No reason, no apology, no explanation. Just a cold dismissal from the son I raised, the boy I once carried on my shoulders, the man I thought would never shut me out. I stared at the screen, hands shaking, trying to understand what I did wrong. I had no idea this message was only the beginning, and the truth behind it would destroy everything I believed about my own family. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. Your support helps these stories reach more people. My name is Edward Halston. I'm 67 years old, and I've spent my whole life believing that family, especially your own children, will stand by you through every storm. But the text my son sent me that morning shattered that belief. At first, I thought it was a mistake, a misunderstanding, something we could fix in a conversation. But what happened next made me realize something far worse. My son hadn't written that message alone. Someone else did. Someone who wanted me out of his life permanently. When I first read the message, I genuinely thought my phone had glitched. People don't throw out their parents in a single sentence. Not after decades of memories, not after everything we'd survived. But the text didn't change when I blinked. It didn't vanish when I reopened the thread. It just sat there, simple, cold, final. We've decided you should step away for now. We, not I, we. That one word dug into me worse than the dismissal itself. I sat at my little kitchen table, sunlight climbing through the blinds, my coffee untouched and cooling beside me. I read the message again and again, trying to understand how a child I held in my arms before he could walk now spoke to me like I was a burden to be quietly removed. I texted back, "Step away from what? Are you okay?" The 3 dots appeared, vanished, appeared again, then nothing. 10 minutes passed, 20, 30, finally a reply. "It's better for now if we have space. Please respect that, respect that." I felt like someone had unplugged me from the world. I stood up, paced the living room, my heart pounding like I'd run miles. This wasn't my son's voice. It wasn't how he spoke, not even when he was angry. And he wasn't angry last week. He'd sent me photos of his 2 kids, my grandkids, covered in flour after helping bake cookies. Everything had seemed perfectly normal. What could have changed in 6 days? I dialed him, straight to voicemail. I called again and again. By the 5th call, my fingers trembled too hard to press the button. I knew what this was. Not him, her. Emily, my daughter-in-law. She wasn't cruel, exactly, but she had a way of shaping conversations, steering them, putting ideas in people's heads while smiling politely the whole time. She had strong opinions about how children should be raised, how meals should be eaten, how homes should be organized, and she had an even stronger opinion that I was too involved in their lives. We clashed quietly at first, then openly. She said I encouraged the kids too much, spoiled them with stories, let them take risks. She told me once in a low voice meant only for me, "I'm the mother, you're just extra." My son didn't hear her say it. He wouldn't have believed it anyway. He was a good man, a gentle one, always trying to keep the peace. But peace can be smothering when you're afraid to upset someone you love. I didn't blame him, not yet. I texted again, "Can we talk on the phone? I'm confused." No answer. I tried calling my daughter Claire, but she worked nights and probably slept through it. The silence in the house suddenly felt larger, heavier, like it had mass. I grabbed my coat and keys, determined not to sit and spiral. Driving always helped me think. As I headed toward the car, my thoughts kept circling back to the last time I saw them, just 2 weeks ago. We'd had dinner. A little awkward because Emily insisted on correcting my every sentence as if the kids needed protection from their grandfather's vocabulary. But my son had hugged me tightly before I left. He whispered, "Don't take her too seriously. She's stressed." He wasn't the type to suddenly cut me out. Something was wrong. I drove 30 minutes to the park where I used to take him as a boy. Parents pushed swings, kids ran through the grass, dogs barked at squirrels, families everywhere. It stung. I sat on a bench, watching the tiny world spin around me, thinking of my son at 5 years old racing down the big slide and running straight into my arms. When did we grow so far apart? My phone buzzed. Not a message from him. A message from my daughter. "Dad, are you okay? I got a weird text from Michael." My stomach dropped. A weird text. I typed fast. What did he say? She sent a screenshot. His message to her read, Dad needs space. Please don't contact him for a bit. We're all stepping back. He wanted my own daughter to cut me off too. That wasn't him. That wasn't even close to him. Something was controlling this. I called her immediately. She answered on the second ring, her voice thick with sleep and worry. Dad. What happened? Why is he saying this? I don't know, sweetheart, I said, my voice cracking. But something is very, very wrong. We talked for a few minutes, trying to piece things together. Claire confirmed what I already knew. He wouldn't choose this on his own, Dad. This sounds like Emily. I nodded, even though she couldn't see it. But why now? Why suddenly? I asked. Silence. Then Claire whispered, maybe it has something to do with what happened at the house last month. A cold wave washed over me. What happened? I asked. She hesitated. Emily didn't want me to tell you. My pulse quickened. Claire, I said, what happened? I don't know the details, she said, but I know Mom's recipe book went missing during my visit, and Emily thought you took it intentionally. I blinked. Took it. The recipe book belonged to my late wife. I kept it in a drawer, wrapped in a cloth, untouched for years. It wasn't even at their home, I said. How could she think I took it? Claire sighed. Dad, I think Emily told Michael you were becoming unstable. My chest tightened. Unstable. That word felt like a knife. She said you were obsessing over the past, Claire continued. She said you were trying to insert yourself into their family decisions. I pressed my palm to my forehead. She's lying, I whispered. She's twisting everything. I know, Claire said softly, but Dad, Michael believes her. I felt my legs weaken. How do you know? I asked. Another pause. Because he asked me, she whispered, if you ever seemed confused when we were kids. My breath caught. He thought I was losing my mind, all because she said so. I stared out at the park, children laughing, the world so normal while mine was falling apart. Claire, I said, my voice low, this isn't just about a text. She inhaled sharply. I know, she said, because Mom's recipe book was found. I sat up straight. Found where? She swallowed audibly. In Emily's closet. Hidden under a pile of winter clothes. My heart stopped. What? I whispered. She blamed you, Claire said, voice shaking, but she's the one who took it. Why steal something of my wife's? Why blame me? Why isolate my son? Unless my phone buzzed again, a new message from my son. Dad, please stop involving Claire. You're making this worse. We need distance. Don't come to the house. Claire gasped when I read it aloud. Dad, how would he know we're talking? I froze. There was only one explanation. Someone was with him, watching his phone, controlling the narrative as it unfolded. And the last text, the one message I hadn't told Claire about, was still burning on my screen. Don't come to the house. Which meant something terrifying. Something was happening there right now. And whatever it was the reason I was being pushed out of the family. The moment I read my son's last message, don't come to the house, my stomach twisted into a knot so tight I could barely breathe. Something was wrong inside that home. Something big. Something I wasn't supposed to see. Claire's voice shook through the phone. Dad, please tell me you're not going there. I stood from the park bench, my decision already made. I'm going, I said. I'm his father. If he's in trouble, I won't sit here doing nothing. Dad, wait, but I had already hung up. I got into my car and drove, my hands gripping the wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. Street after street blurred past until I reached my son's neighborhood. The one with the trimmed lawns, the decorative mailboxes, the perfect couples walking perfect dogs. But their house looked different. The curtains were drawn, the porch light was off, no bikes, no chalk drawings on the driveway from the kids, not a sound from inside, a dead silence. I parked half a block away, not wanting to draw attention. As I walked up the sidewalk, my heart pounded like a drum in my chest. Halfway to the door, my phone buzzed again, a message from an unknown number. Turn around. I stopped. Cold air hit my lungs like glass. Then another message, you weren't supposed to come. I scanned the street. No one, no movement, just me and the quiet hum of streetlights. I typed back, who is this? No reply. I reached their porch and rang the bell. Nothing. I knocked. Still nothing. I knocked again, harder, and suddenly the door cracked open just an inch. Not enough to see inside, but enough for a whisper to slip out. Dad, go home. Michael. His voice sounded wrong, tight, restrained, like someone was behind him. Open the door, I said quietly. Please, he hesitated. And for a brief moment, I saw his face through the gap, pale, tired, eyes rimmed red. Dad, please, he whispered. I can't talk right now. You need to leave. What's going on? I asked. Why are you shutting me out? Who sent those messages? His eyes darted to the side. Fear flickered there, not annoyance, not anger, fear. I leaned closer. Michael, is she there? He swallowed hard. Dad, please. Suddenly, the door slammed shut. I heard the lock click, then another, and another. 3 locks. They were sealing me out. I stood on the porch, heart racing, listening to muffled voices inside. A woman's voice, firm, sharp, Emily. A moment later, footsteps approached the door again, but when it opened, it wasn't my son. It was Emily. Her expression was perfectly composed, like a mask she'd worn for years. Edward, she said coolly, you need to stop creating problems. I'm trying to reach my son, I said. You're blocking him from me. She folded her arms. He is an adult. He doesn't need you interfering anymore. Interfering. The words sliced through me. What happened? I asked. Why the sudden distance? Why are you telling him I'm unstable? Her eyebrows lifted slightly, not guilt, not surprise, but annoyance. Edward, she said softly, like talking to a slow child, I know you're dealing with grief, but projecting your confusion onto us is unhealthy. My jaw clenched. I'm not confused, I said. You stole my wife's recipe book and blamed me. Something dark flickered across her face, a split-second crack in her mask. I didn't steal anything, she said tightly. You must have misplaced it. It was found in your closet, I said. Hidden. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Then quickly she changed the subject. We're choosing to create boundaries, she said. You need to respect that. For everyone's sake. Boundaries, an easy word. A weapon when misused. I stepped forward. Let me see my son. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. No, I glanced past her into the dim hallway. Something felt off. Wrong, like the air inside was heavy with things unsaid. Emily, I said quietly, what are you hiding? She didn't answer. Instead, she exhaled sharply and said, Edward, you don't understand what we're dealing with, and you can't help. That angered me. I've helped him his whole life, I said. I was there when he learned to walk. To read, to survive without his mother. And now you think I'm not allowed to know what's happening. A flash of guilt passed through her eyes so fast she almost hit it. Then came the blow. He doesn't want you involved. It felt like a stab. That's not true, I said. I saw his face. He's scared. He didn't write those messages. She stiffened. Leave, she said flatly, and don't come back without an invitation. She closed the door, locked it, again and again and again, 3 locks. I stood there feeling like the world had tilted sideways. I walked back to my car, my chest tight, my mind racing. Just before I opened the door to get in, my phone buzzed again. A new message. Not from my son, not from the unknown number, from my granddaughter. She was only 9. It read, Grandpa, why aren't you allowed to come over anymore? Mom said you're sick, but you don't look sick. My heart dropped. She added, Dad is crying again. Please help. The screen blurred from my tears. Whatever Emily was hiding, whatever was happening inside that house, my son was okay, and neither were the kids. I wiped my face and turned the key in the ignition. I wasn't stepping away. Not now, not ever, because someone in that house was controlling my son, and the next message I received proved it. As I started driving, my phone buzzed again. This time the message read, Stop digging. You don't know what you're getting into. And then, next time will be worse. The message glared at me from my phone screen. Stop digging. You don't know what you're getting into. And then, next time will be worse. Worse than what? Worse than being cut off from my own child. Worse than being banished like a problem. I felt a cold shiver crawl up my spine. This was Emily. Emily was manipulative, yes, but she wasn't reckless. She wouldn't send threats from an unknown number. This was someone else. Someone inside that house. Someone who didn't want me digging. And my son. My son was scared. His eyes at the door, that fleeting look over his shoulder. That wasn't a man making boundaries. That was a man trapped. I drove straight to Claire's apartment. She opened the door the moment she saw me, fear written all over her face. Dad, what happened? I walked inside, my voice shaking as I told her everything, the locked doors, the strange messages, the way Michael whispered instead of speaking. Claire listened in silence, her hands trembling. Dad, this is worse than I thought, she whispered. I went by their place last week to drop off a gift for the kids. Emily wouldn't let me inside. She said everyone was sick, but the kids sounded fine. I heard them laughing. I stared at her. And Michael, that's the weird part, she said. He never came to the door. A chill spread across my chest. Claire continued. Emily kept saying something was wrong with the air and that it was better if I didn't contaminate the house. I blinked. Contaminate, Claire nodded slowly. She's become obsessed with toxins. She doesn't let the kids touch anything without disinfecting it first. She stopped letting them play outside. Pieces fell together, the sudden distancing, the controlling behavior, the belief that everyone except her was a danger to the family. This wasn't just manipulation. It was a psychological breakdown. Dad, Claire whispered, she's isolating him. She's isolating the kids. She's controlling everything. And now she wants to control me, I said. But Claire shook her head. No, someone else might be involved. My pulse quickened. What do you mean? She took a slow breath. Dad, Emily joined a support group last year for mothers dealing with anxiety. I thought it was a good thing at first. I frowned. Okay, Claire's voice lowered to a whisper, but it wasn't a normal support group. It was run by a man, a life coach, a charismatic one. What kind of life coach? The kind who tells people their families are holding them back. The kind who encourages cutting ties with anyone toxic. The kind who wants full control over people in vulnerable situations. I felt the blood drain from my face. Do you know his name? Claire nodded. Luca's heart. The name hit me like a brick. I had seen it before. On one of the spam emails my son accidentally forwarded to me last year, a long message about protecting your energy and eliminating older influences. I hadn't thought anything of it. But now, Dad, Claire whispered, what if Emily thinks you're the toxin? What if Lucas is telling her that the only way the family can heal is by removing you? My breath caught. And Michael, I asked. Claire swallowed. He follows Emily. She follows Lucas. I sat down, my legs suddenly weak. My family wasn't falling apart by accident. Someone was pushing it, guiding it, feeding it, a puppet master wearing a counselor's smile. I took a deep breath. I'm going back, I said, to that house. Claire grabbed my arm. Dad, don't, not alone. I won't sit here and watch my son be controlled, I said. I won't let my grandkids grow up in fear. She stepped closer. Then I'm coming with you. No, I said firmly. I won't put you in danger. She hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. Promise you'll be careful. I will. I drove back toward the house, this time parking farther away. The neighborhood was quiet, too quiet for early evening. A single light glowed behind the living room curtains. I approached slowly, feeling my heart pound so hard I thought it might leave bruises on my ribs. Halfway up the walkway, I froze. Through a small gap in the curtains, I saw him. Not Michael, not Emily. A man, tall, broad-shouldered, hair tied back. Calm posture as if he were in his own home. Luca's heart. He stood in the living room with his back to me, speaking to someone I couldn't see. I crept closer. Then I heard it, my son's voice, not weak, not nervous, broken. Please, I don't want to cut him off, he said. He's my father. Lucas's reply was cold, measured, practiced. You'll never heal, he said, if you keep letting him interfere. Your family's future depends on this boundary. My son whispered, but he hasn't done anything wrong. Lucas replied, he doesn't need to, he just needs to doubt you. That's enough to ruin everything. My vision blurred with rage. I took a step toward the door, but then I heard something behind me. A click. I turned. Someone stood in the shadows of the porch. Emily, holding a phone in her hand, recording me. Her voice was a low, venomous whisper. Perfect. I needed proof you were unstable enough to show up again. The porch light flickered on. Lucas opened the door behind her, and my son stood frozen in the hallway, looking at me like a man caught between two worlds. Emily smiled sinisterly. This time, Edward, you've given us exactly what we needed. And with that one sentence, I realized they were planning to erase me completely. Not just from the house, not just from their lives, but from the legal right to ever see my son or grandchildren again. Emily's phone camera pointed at me like a weapon. Her smile was thin, sharp, victorious, the smile of someone who believed the final move was already played. Perfect, she said again, her voice dripping with triumph. You came back, you ignored boundaries, you created a scene, all recorded. Behind her, Lucas stood calmly in the doorway, arms crossed, expression unreadable. And my son stood frozen in the hallway, shoulders hunched, eyes full of shame and something even worse, fear. Emily, I said, my voice steady but cracking at the edges, put the phone down. I just want to talk to my son. No, she said softly. You don't get to talk, you get to leave. She turned the camera slightly, capturing my face, the porch, the tension. This, she said, will help us prove you're unstable, and once we file for a restraining order, you'll stay away legally. The words hit me like a physical blow. I opened my mouth to speak, but Lucas stepped forward. "Let me," he said to Emily. Then he looked at me with the cool gaze of someone who had done this to many families before. "Edward," he said, voice slow, almost soothing, "you're in pain, you're emotional, you're confused, and your presence is harming the healing process in this home." I took a step toward him. "I'm not confused," I said. "I'm not unstable. You're manipulating my family. You're isolating my son, and you're using my daughter-in-law's anxiety to control this entire household." His expression didn't change. "Blame is a common deflection when an older parent loses influence," he replied. "It's nothing you should feel ashamed about." My jaw clenched. This man was calm because he believed he had already won. Emily raised her chin. "This ends tonight, Edward. Michael has made his choice." But when I looked at my son, really looked, I saw the truth. His choice was not made freely. His voice trembled. "Dad, please just go. Please." The quiet agony in those words didn't come from anger. It came from someone who had been coached, pushed, shaped into a puppet. And I realized something. If I walked away now, I would lose him forever. Not because he wanted me gone, but because these two, Emily and Lucas, would make sure there was nothing left between us. I took a breath and made the decision that terrified me most. I said loudly, "Michael, do you want your children to believe this is normal?" Emily stiffened. Lucas's face sharpened, but my son flinched. I stepped forward another inch. "Do you want them to grow up thinking shutting out family is healing? That isolation is safety. That control is love." His eyes glistened. "Dad, stop." "I will," I said softly. "When you tell me to stop in your own voice, not theirs." Emily's expression curdled. "That's enough." "No," I said. "I raised that boy. I know when he's speaking from fear." Lucas stepped between us. "Edward, you need to leave now." I shook my head. "No. Not until my son tells me without being coached what he actually wants." I looked past Lucas, straight into my son's eyes. "Michael," I whispered, voice breaking, "I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to fight for you. Just tell me, is this what you really want?" The silence stretched. Long, painful. Emily gripped her phone tighter. Lucas's jaw twitched, and then a voice broke the stillness. Not Michael's, a small, trembling voice from the staircase behind him. "Mom, why is Grandpa crying?" My granddaughter. She stood holding the railing, eyes wide, little pajamas covered in stars. Emily froze, Lucas stiffened. My son turned around sharply. "Honey, go upstairs," but it was too late. My grandson appeared beside her, holding a stuffed dinosaur, confused and scared. My granddaughter looked at the phone in Emily's hand. "Why are you recording Grandpa? Did he do something bad?" The innocence of the question shattered the room. Emily swallowed. Her eyes darted. Her facade cracked. Lucas took a step back. My son looked at his children, and something inside him broke. Because kids don't lie with their eyes, and his children were afraid of the tension, afraid of the secrecy, afraid of the control, afraid of losing their family. Michael slowly turned toward me. "Dad," his voice trembled. "I'm so sorry," Emily gasped. "Michael, don't," but he continued. "I didn't want any of this. I didn't want to push you away. I didn't know how to fix things without making her angry." He looked at Lucas. "And you kept telling me Dad was clouding my judgment. That he would ruin our family, that cutting him off was healing, but all it's done is hurt everyone." Lucas took a slow step forward. "You're overwhelmed," he said calmly. "You're interpreting." "Shut up," Michael said. The words were quiet, but final. He turned to me again. "Dad, please come inside." Emily's face collapsed as if her entire world had cracked in half. "Michael, no. If he comes in, it means you don't respect the process." He lowered his voice, steady now. "The only process I care about is fixing the damage we've done." Lucas stepped toward him aggressively. "You're making a mistake." And for the first time ever, my son stood up for himself. "No, you are the mistake." He closed the door in Lucas's face. Emily sank into a chair, hands shaking, breathing fast. My son turned to her gently. "This isn't healthy," he whispered, "for any of us." She stared at the floor, and the truth came out in a whisper. "I was scared. I didn't want to lose our family." Lucas said, "If I didn't take control, everyone would leave me." My son knelt beside her. "We can fix this," he said, "but not with him around." He looked at me. "Dad, thank you for not giving up on me." I swallowed hard. "I never will." My granddaughter ran down the steps and threw her arms around me. Grandpa, don't go away again. I hugged her tightly, tears finally falling. Not anymore, sweetheart. Outside the window, Lucas walked down the street alone, defeated, no longer in control. He wouldn't be returning, not to my son, not to my family, not ever. And as I stood there, holding my grandchildren, watching my son reclaim his life, I realized something simple, something powerful. Some people fight to divide families, but love, patient love, brings them back together. And I walked out of that night with my family restored, my heart intact, and one final truth. No message, no manipulation, no outsider can erase a father who refuses to step away.